Good morning, students. Today we will learn that air is present in the soil and how the living organisms depend on this air which is present in the soil. First of all, we will have a look at the average composition of common soil. Common soil is based on four components: mineral salts, air, water, and organic matter. If we have a look at the proportion of the presence of air in the soil, 25% of the soil is based on air. This proportion of air present in the soil is quite less as compared to the presence of air above the soil, but this air is really very important for all the living organisms. We all are of the opinion that plants depend on the soil for their growth. Yes, they not only get water and mineral salts from the soil, however, they get air from the soil as well. We learned earlier that seeds need air to germinate, but how does they get air when seeds are present inside the soil? Yes, air is present in the soil as well. Seeds take oxygen from this air to release energy from the stored food, which helps them to develop into a new plant. This is how plants depend on the air in the ground during process of germination. Not only plants depend on the presence of air in the soil, some animals, the ones which are living in the soil, also take in oxygen from the air which is present inside the soil. Earthworm, beetles, and many other microorganisms depend on the air which is present in the soil to breathe in and to carry out life processes. We can prove the presence of air in the soil by performing a small investigation. Take a beaker and put some soil in it. Add water to the soil and we will observe that the bubbles come out of it. These bubbles are basically the air molecules. The water molecules take the space of and due to which the air molecules rise up as air is a gas and it is more energetic. This shows that air is present in the soil. We have observed that animals living in the soil make burrows in the soil due to their movement. The purpose of this is to allow gaps so the air can easily circulate within the soil. The same function is performed by the earthworms as well. Due to their movement, they allow air to circulate in the soil. That's why earthworms are called as farmer's friend. We often observe soil creatures, especially earthworms, coming out on a rainy day. The reason is that when it rains, water molecule take place of the air molecule due to which air rises up and soil becomes deficient in air. That's why earthworm and other animals come out so they can breathe easily. This is the reason soil is thoroughly ploughed before the cultivation of crops so that the soil particles are moved and there is a thorough continued process relation revolving of air and water molecules. Air is present in soil, however the proportion of air depends on the type of the soil. There are three main types of soil: loam, sandy soil and clay. The presence of air and water in the soil depend on the sand particle or soil particle or the size of the particle of the soil. For this, we will closely observe the soil structure and size of the particle of these three types of soil. If we have a closer look at these soil samples, we observe that the particle of clay soil is very fine, it's very tiny and minute, whereas sand has big particle as compared to the clay. While loam, the particle are medium size. They are larger than clay particles whereas smaller than sand particle. This is how air is held or water is held in these particles. As clay particles are very tiny and very small, they are closely compact. When the water comes in the soil, it holds it together. That's why the potters use clay to make pots because clay can hold the water. It will not let the water to go out. When water is present in the soil, air won't be able to come inside as water will not give any space for the air to enter it. Whereas when we come towards the sand particles, they are very big. They can't hold the air. Air and water can easily pass through it, but they don't have the ability to retain the moisture and air particles in it. As the air particles, air molecules or water particles enter, they quickly go out as it does not have the ability to hold it. But when we come towards the loam, the particles of loam are smaller than sand while bigger than the clay particle. This property or size of the particle helps the loam to retain moisture and air particles, but to some extent, which is good for the growth of normal plants. I hope you have understood the lesson learned today. Thank you so much.